Meanwhile, under Gotham's flickering neon lights, someone has to keep the slushy machine running, even when the Joker's in town. Welcome, friend. You've wandered into another quiet corner of worlds made of legend. Tonight, we're stepping into the fluorescent-lit world of late-night retail, where inventory counts and coffee brewing become a meditation, and where the most extraordinary city in the world reveals itself through the most ordinary of jobs. Here, behind the counter of a 24-hour convenience store, you'll discover that even in Gotham, someone still needs to stock the shelves and count the register, no matter what's happening in the shadows outside. So before you settle in for this shift with me, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, so we can keep bringing you more tales from the ordinary side of extraordinary places. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from tonight. It's always good to know who's keeping me company on these quiet watches. Now get comfortable, let the quiet hush of the room surround you, and allow the small, steady moments of Gotham's midnight hours to guide you gently toward rest. You push through the glass doors of Gotham Quick Stop, and immediately the familiar cocktail of fluorescent lighting and industrial air freshener wraps around you like an old blanket. The transition from Gotham's humid night air to the store's controlled climate always makes your skin prickle slightly, the way it does when you step from a warm bath into a cool room. Your uniform hangs in the back office, pressed and waiting. The polyester fabric feels smooth between your fingers as you slip it on, the name tag already positioned exactly where corporate policy dictates. The shirt carries that particular scent of commercial laundry detergent mixed with the faint aroma of convenience store coffee that seems to seep into everything here. You adjust the collar, smooth down the front, and catch your reflection in the security monitor. Just another night in Gotham, just another shift in the endless rhythm of commerce. The back office is small but efficiently organised, with a time clock that's been faithfully tracking employee hours since 1987. You slide your card through the reader, listening to the mechanical click and whir as it stamps your arrival time. The sound is oddly comforting, a ritual that marks the beginning of your domain, your responsibility, your quiet kingdom of convenience. Marcus, the day shift clerk, looks up from counting his register with the weary expression of someone who's been on his feet for 8 hours. His coffee cup sits empty beside him, surrounded by the small debris of a long shift. Receipt tape curls, pen caps, the wrapper from a granola bar he never quite finished. You can smell the lingering warmth of his aftershave, something woody and cheap that reminds you of high school hallways. "Quiet night so far," he says, sliding the cash drawer closed with a metallic click that echoes in the empty store. Had a couple of tourists earlier asking about the bat signal tours, sold them some postcards and energy drinks. He chuckles, shaking his head. $20 for a blurry photo of a searchlight, but hey, keeps the lights on. You nod, already settling into the familiar rhythm of transition. The store at midnight feels different than it does during the day, more intimate, more yours. The fluorescent lights hum their steady electrical lullaby, and you can hear the soft whoosh of the refrigerated cases cycling on and off. Marcus gathers his things, keys jingling softly as he heads for the door. "Oh, and watch out for the slushy machine," he calls back. "It's been making that grinding noise again. Probably nothing, but you know how it is." The door chimes as he leaves, and suddenly the store is yours, wrapped in that particular silence that comes just after midnight in a city that never quite sleeps. You take a moment to walk the perimeter, checking that everything is in its place. The candy racks are properly stocked. The magazine displays are neat and orderly. The lottery ticket dispenser is loaded and ready. It's a small kingdom, but it's yours to rule for the next 8 hours. And there's something deeply satisfying about knowing that every item has its place. Every system has its purpose. The silence in the store isn't really silence at all. It's a carefully orchestrated symphony of mechanical sounds that you've learned to read like music. The refrigerated cases cycle on and off with clockwork precision, their compressors humming a bass note that you feel as much as hear. The fluorescent lights contribute to their own high-pitched harmony, a sound that most people never notice, but that becomes as familiar as your own heartbeat when you work the night shift. The ice machine drops a fresh batch of cubes into its bin with a sound like distant applause, a reminder that even the most mundane processes continue their work while the city sleeps. You've learned to time your movements around these sounds, to use them as a kind of metronome for the rhythm of your work. When the coffee maker gurgles, it's time to check the hot food roller. When the soda cooler compressor kicks in, it's time to straighten the chip display. There's a comfort in these sounds, a reliability that anchors you to the present moment. Unlike the chaos and unpredictability of Gotham streets, the store operates according to physical laws and mechanical principles that don't change. The refrigeration cycle doesn't care about superhero battles or criminal schemes. It just maintains temperature with the steady devotion of a faithful servant. You settle into the rhythm of the night, checking your watch and noting that it's 12:23 a.m. The time moves differently during the night shift, sometimes crawling with the weight of boredom, sometimes flying past in a blur of unexpected activity, but mostly it flows like honey, thick and golden and sweet, each minute containing more awareness than a whole day of ordinary life. The automatic doors sense something outside and slide open briefly, letting in a whisper of night air before closing again. Probably a cat or a piece of wind-blown trash, or maybe just the building settling in the cooling temperatures. The doors are sensitive, programmed to err on the side of accessibility rather than efficiency, and they open dozens of times each night, for reasons that remain mysterious. You check the security monitors, 6 black and white screens that show different angles of your domain. Everything appears normal. The parking lot empty, except for your car and a few overnight parkers. The street quiet except for the occasional passing taxi. The cameras record everything, but most of the footage is never watched, creating an archive of ordinary moments that accumulate like snowflakes. Every time the automatic doors slide open, Gotham's night air rolls in like a living thing. Tonight it carries the complex perfume of a city in summer, warm concrete that's been baking all day, now slowly releasing its heat. The sharp tang of car exhaust mingling with the surprisingly sweet scent of hot dog vendors still working the late shift near the subway entrance, 3 blocks away. You breathe it in as a taxi pulls away from the curb, its diesel engine adding a layer of mechanical warmth to the air. Gotham has its own particular smell, different from other cities you've lived in. There's something deeper here, something that comes from being built on old foundations, from having secrets in every shadow. The smell of rain on old brick, of coffee shops that have been brewing the same blend for 60 years, of newspapers that still get delivered at dawn. Tonight there's something else too, that faint, almost metallic scent that long-time Gothamites recognise without even thinking about it. It's the smell of smoke bombs, the particular chemical signature of whatever Batman uses in those little grey canisters. Not unpleasant exactly, just distinctive. Like the smell of fireworks the morning after the 4th of July, but sharper, more purposeful. The city's scent profile changes throughout the night, like a slow-motion perfume commercial. Early evening brings the smell of dinner cooking in 1,000 kitchens, the aroma of garlic and onions and meat that makes even the most satisfied person suddenly hungry. Late night carries the scent of cooling asphalt and the ozone smell that comes before rain. Dawn brings coffee and exhaust and the particular smell of a city waking up. But underneath all of these temporal layers, there's something constant, something that makes Gotham smell like itself and nowhere else. It's the smell of old money and new ambition, of Gothic architecture and modern chemistry, of a place where the impossible happens so regularly that it's become ordinary. You've lived here long enough to recognise it as the smell of home. A woman in scrubs walks past the window, probably heading home from her shift at Gotham General. She moves with the particular exhaustion of someone who's been on her feet all night, shoulders slightly hunched, sneakers silent on the sidewalk. The automatic doors sense her proximity, and start to open, then close again as she continues past without entering. For a moment, the night air mingles with the store's climate-controlled atmosphere, and you catch the scent of her hospital soap, clean and antiseptic, before the doors seal shut again. The smell of Gotham at night is like a conversation you've been having for years, familiar, comforting even, with its own rhythm and cadence. You've learned to read it like weather, to know when rain is coming by the way the concrete smells, to recognise the difference between regular city smoke and the kind that means there's been another incident downtown. The clipboard appears ordinary enough, standard office supply, the kind you can buy at any store that sells basic business equipment. But in your hands during the quiet hours of the night shift, it becomes something more. It becomes a meditation tool, a way of imposing order on chaos, a ritual that transforms the mundane act of counting into something approaching the sacred. You start with the candy bars because they're easiest to count, and their bright packaging makes inventory mistakes obvious. Snickers occupy the top shelf, their brown wrappers arranged in neat rows like soldiers at attention. You count them twice, not because you don't trust your arithmetic, but because the act of counting is itself calming, a way of anchoring your attention to the present moment. 24 Snickers bars. You make a note on the clipboard, your handwriting careful and precise. Below them, the Milky Ways, 21. 3 Kit Kats, 18. The numbers tell their own story about customer preferences, about the eternal human craving for sugar and chocolate, and the simple pleasure of unwrapping something sweet. The process requires patience, attention to detail, and a kind of Zen-like acceptance of repetition. Each item must be counted, recorded, and checked against the master list that tells you how many should be there. Discrepancies must be noted and explained. Everything must balance, must make sense according to the simple mathematics of commerce. You move to the chips, their bags crinkling softly as you handle them. Lay's Classic occupy 2 full shelves, their yellow bags bright as sunshine under the fluorescent lights. 47 bags when there should be 50. You make a note. Lay's Classic, 3 short. Could be theft, could be a counting error from the last delivery, could be any number of explanations that range from the mundane to the mysterious. Doritos come in more varieties than seems necessary. Nacho cheese, cool ranch, spicy sweet chili. Blaze, each flavour claiming its own territory on the shelf. The bags are different sizes too, which complicates the counting. Family size, regular snack size, each requiring its own line on the inventory sheet. The mathematics become more complex, but the rhythm remains the same. Count, record, verify, move on. The ramen noodles present their own challenge. Cup noodles stacked in precarious towers, Maruchan packets arranged by flavour, instant faux containers that smell faintly of star anise even through their packaging. These are the foods of late-night hunger, of college students and night shift workers, and anyone who needs something hot and filling and available at 3 a.m. As you count, you notice the patterns that emerge from the data. Chicken-flavoured ramen outsells beef by almost 2 to 1. Energy drinks sell better on weeknights than weekends. Chocolate candy moves faster during the winter months, while sour candy peaks in summer. The numbers tell stories about human behaviour, about the rhythms of urban life, about the simple fact that people need different things at different times. The inventory process takes almost 2 hours, when done properly, but the time passes quickly when you're absorbed in the work. There's something meditative about the repetition, something satisfying about the way chaos resolves into order under the influence of careful attention. By the time you finish, every item in the store has been accounted for, every discrepancy noted, every number balanced against the eternal mathematics of supply and demand. The delivery truck had come and gone before your shift started, leaving behind neat stacks of cardboard boxes that now wait patiently in the stockroom. You grab the box cutter from its designated spot on the counter, the metal handle worn smooth from years of use, and begin the meditative process of opening, unpacking, and organising. The cardboard boxes bear the logos of familiar companies: Frito-Lay, Coca-Cola, Nabisco, corporate giants whose products have become as much a part of American culture as baseball and apple pie. You slice through the packing tape with practiced precision, the box cutter making a sound like silk tearing as it separates the adhesive from the cardboard. Inside each box, products are arranged with geometric precision, packed by machines that never make mistakes and never get tired. Energy drinks nestled in cardboard dividers, each positioned exactly where it should be. Candy bars arranged in neat rows, their wrappers aligned like pages in a book. Even the most mundane products are treated with a kind of industrial reverence, protected and organised as if they were precious artefacts. The candy bars go first. Snickers, Milky Way, Kit Kat, all lined up in their designated slots like soldiers in formation. The chocolate feels slightly soft in your hands. Summer in Gotham means even the air conditioning can't quite keep everything at optimal temperature. You arrange them carefully, facing forward, creating the kind of neat display that makes the night shift feel like a form of meditation. Each candy bar has its own personality, its own relationship with the customer, who will eventually choose it. Snickers for those who want substance, something that will actually satisfy hunger. Kit Kat for those who enjoy the ritual of breaking and sharing, even if they're alone. Milky Way for those who prefer their sweetness simple and uncomplicated. The potato chips come next, their bags crinkling softly as you stack them. Lay's, Doritos, Pringles in their distinctive cylindrical containers. The sound of chips settling in their bags is oddly soothing, like rice falling into a bowl. You've developed a rhythm over the months. Grab, check the expiration date, place, adjust. Your hands know the weight of each item, the way a bag of chips feels different from a bag of pretzels, the way candy bars have their own particular heft. The chips require careful handling, too much pressure, and the bags burst, creating a mess that's difficult to clean and impossible to sell. You've learned to stack them with just the right amount of firmness, creating displays that look full and abundant without putting stress on the individual packages. The ramen noodles require more precision: chicken, beef, shrimp, vegetable. Each flavour has its own spot on the shelf, and you've learned that customers get genuinely upset when they can't find their preferred variety in the usual location. These packages smell faintly of salt and dried vegetables, even through their plastic wrapping. You stack them carefully, creating neat towers that will inevitably be disturbed by the first customer who decides they need cup noodles at 3 a.m. But tonight, as you're counting the inventory, you notice something odd. The numbers don't match the delivery sheet. 3 cases of energy drinks are missing, along with an entire box of beef jerky. You check the invoice again, running your finger down the list of items that should have been delivered. The math is simple. You received 60% of what was ordered. Then you remember the news report from last week. The Joker had hijacked a delivery truck downtown, not for any grand scheme, but apparently because he'd developed a sudden craving for convenience store snacks. The driver had been found unharmed but thoroughly confused, tied up next to empty boxes and a note that read, "Thanks for the midnight munchies, Jay." The police had recovered most of the truck's contents, but some items had gone missing in the chaos. You make a note in the inventory log: shortage likely due to Joker incident 721. In any other city, this would be an insurance claim and a police report. In Gotham, it's just Tuesday. The insurance forms have a special section for unusual circumstances, and the local police department has a dedicated unit for handling superhero-related incidents. The stocking process continues, each item finding its proper place in the carefully orchestrated geography of the store. Energy drinks go in the cooler, their cans cold to the touch and promising various forms of artificial alertness. Protein bars occupy a shelf near the pharmacy section, marketed to people who want to believe that convenience store food can be healthy. As you work, you think about the journey each item has taken to reach this shelf. The coffee beans grown on mountainsides in South America, shipped in containers across oceans, roasted in facilities that operate around the clock, packaged in factories where robots work with inhuman precision, trucked across interstate highways by drivers who listen to talk radio and drink gas station coffee. Each product represents a chain of human effort that stretches around the globe, a network of farmers and factory workers and truck drivers and warehouse managers, all contributing to the simple fact that someone in Gotham can buy a candy bar at 3 a.m. There's something almost miraculous about it when you think about it carefully. This vast machinery of commerce that operates so smoothly that it's become invisible. The slushy machine sits in the corner like a temperamental pet, humming and gurgling to itself as it churns frozen sugar water into something resembling a beverage. Tonight it's your job to clean it, to drain the tanks and refill them with fresh syrup and water. The process is oddly satisfying, like performing surgery on a very simple patient. The machine represents something profound about American consumer culture, the transformation of ice and sugar and artificial flavouring into something that people will pay money for, something that brings a moment of cold sweetness to hot summer nights. It's alchemy of the most mundane sort, turning base materials into liquid gold through the simple application of refrigeration and marketing. You start by turning off the machine, listening as the motor winds down with a sigh. The tanks are nearly empty. Cherry on the left, blue raspberry on the right. Their contents reduced to a thin layer of crystallized sugar that clings to the sides like frost on a window. The cherry tank smells exactly like artificial cherry should. Sweet, intense, with that particular chemical brightness that somehow manages to be more cherry-like than actual cherries. The blue raspberry is harder to describe. It's a flavour that doesn't exist in nature, created entirely in laboratories to satisfy humanity's desire for something that tastes like the colour blue. As you drain the tank, the syrup swirls down the drain like antifreeze, leaving behind a residue that requires careful scrubbing with warm, soapy water. The cleaning process is meditative, requiring attention to detail, but not much intellectual engagement. You disassemble the mixing chambers, wash each component separately, inspect the seals and gaskets for wear. The machine is simple enough that you understand how it works. Water and syrup mixed in precise ratios, cooled to just above freezing, agitated constantly to prevent ice crystal formation. Customers have strong opinions about slushy flavours. You've witnessed heated debates between cherry and blue raspberry partisans, discussions that can stretch for 10 minutes while other customers wait in line. Some people mix the flavours, creating purple concoctions that taste like childhood summers. Others are purists, refusing to contaminate their chosen flavour with even a molecule of the other. The machine has its own history, its own stories. Last month, the Riddler had somehow reprogrammed it to dispense only green slushies, regardless of which button customers pressed. He'd left riddles taped to the machine. What's green and cold and drives you mad? A slushie that's not what you had. The repair technician had found the programming change amusing enough to leave it in place for a week before finally resetting it to normal operation. You fill the tanks with fresh water, measuring carefully to ensure the proper ratios. The syrup concentrates come in plastic jugs that are heavier than they look, each one containing enough flavouring to make hundreds of drinks. The cherry syrup is the colour of stop signs, unnaturally red in a way that promises artificial sweetness. The blue raspberry looks like antifreeze, which is probably not the best marketing comparison, but is undeniably accurate. As you add the syrup to the water, watching the colours bloom and swirl like tie-dye, you think about the strange democracy of convenience store culture. The slushy machine doesn't care if you're a billionaire or a minimum wage worker, a superhero or a supervillain. It dispenses its frozen sweetness to anyone with 1.79 and a willingness to accept artificial flavours as a reasonable substitute for actual fruit. The machine comes to life with a contented hum, the paddles beginning their endless rotation, transforming liquid into something that's not quite solid, not quite liquid, but perfect for a city that exists somewhere between reality and comic book fantasy. The mixing chambers fill with swirling colour, cherry red and blue raspberry blue, each flavour maintaining its identity while occupying the same space. You wipe down the exterior of the machine, removing the inevitable sticky spots where customers have been less than careful with their pouring technique. The machine's surface is white plastic, designed to look futuristic, though it's actually based on technology that hasn't changed much since the 1960s. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, especially when it comes to freezing sugar water. The cleaning process takes exactly 23 minutes, start to finish. You know this because you've timed it, because the night shift teaches you to find comfort in routine, in the predictable rhythm of maintenance tasks that keep the store running. There's something deeply satisfying about taking something dirty and making it clean, about ensuring that the next customer who wants a slushie will get exactly what they're expecting. As you finish up, you test both flavours, drawing small samples to make sure the mixing ratios are correct. The cherry tastes like summer and childhood and artificial preservatives. The blue raspberry tastes like the colour blue would taste if colours had flavours. Both are exactly what they should be: cold, sweet, and completely unnecessary, but somehow essential to the American experience. Time moves differently during the night shift. The clocks continue their relentless progression, marking off minutes and hours with mechanical precision, but the relationship between clock time and experience time becomes fluid, subjective, almost musical in its variation. Minutes can stretch like taffy during the quiet periods, each second expanding to contain more awareness than seems possible. Then suddenly a rush of customers or an unexpected task can make an hour disappear like smoke. You check your watch. 1:47 a.m. Still more than 5 hours until Sandra arrives to relieve you, but the night is settling into its own rhythm now, finding its pace like a river, finding its course toward the sea. The initial transition period is over. You're no longer thinking about the day that's ended or anticipating the day that's coming. You're fully present in the eternal now of the night shift. The fluorescent lights hum their steady electrical hymn, a sound that becomes the bass line for all other sounds. Everything else, the refrigerator cycling, footsteps on the sidewalk outside, the occasional car passing, becomes a variation on this fundamental theme. You've learned to read the store's soundscape, like a musician reading sheet music, recognizing the normal patterns and immediately noticing anything that doesn't belong. A delivery truck rumbles past on the street outside, probably heading to one of the all-night diners or gas stations that keep the city's night economy functioning. The driver is someone like you, a member of the invisible workforce that keeps things running while the day shift world sleeps. There's a solidarity among night workers, an understanding that you're all part of something larger than your individual jobs. The automatic doors sense something and slide open briefly, letting in a whisper of night air before closing again. It's probably nothing. A cat, a piece of wind-blown trash, maybe just the building settling as it cools. But for a moment, the boundary between inside and outside dissolves, and you're reminded that you're not isolated in your fluorescent-lit bubble, but connected to the larger organism of the city. You straighten a display of beef jerky, aligning the packages so their edges form perfect rows. It's unnecessary work. The display was already neat enough, but there's satisfaction in the small perfectionism that the night shift allows. During the day, when customers constantly disturb displays and create messes faster than you can clean them, such attention to detail would be futile. But at night, you can create order that actually lasts, at least until the morning rush begins. Time on the night shift is measured differently than time in the outside world. Instead of appointments and deadlines, you have routines and rhythms. The coffee machine needs to be cleaned at 2 a.m., The floors should be mopped before 4 a.m. The newspaper delivery arrives at 5:30 a.m. These events create a different kind of schedule, one based on the natural rhythms of maintenance and care, rather than the artificial urgency of meetings and deadlines. The security monitors show their black and white views of the world outside. Nothing moves except the occasional car, its headlights sweeping across the parking lot before disappearing down the street. The cameras record everything, creating an archive of ordinary moments that probably no one will ever watch. But there's comfort in knowing that if something unusual happens, there will be a record, a way of making sense of events after the fact. You update the logbook, noting the time and your activities. 1:47 a.m, slushy maintenance completed, displays organised, no incidents. The logbook creates a paper trail of your shift, a way of communicating with the day shift workers who will take over in a few hours. It's also a way of making your work visible, of proving that important things happen during the quiet hours when no one was watching. The security system consists of 6 monitors stacked in a grid above the register, each showing a different angle of the store and its immediate surroundings. The images are black and white, grainy in the way that security footage has been grainy since the invention of closed-circuit television. You've learned to read these screens like a language, to interpret the shadows and movements that play across them throughout the night. Camera 1 shows the front entrance, where the automatic doors occasionally open and close for no apparent reason, probably triggered by a cat or a piece of windblown trash. The doors are programmed to be sensitive, to err on the side of accessibility rather than efficiency, which means they spend a lot of time opening for phantom customers who never actually enter. Camera 2 covers the chip aisle, where the motion sensors sometimes pick up the settling of packages as the air conditioning cycles on and off. The bags of chips have their own subtle movements, shifting slightly as temperature changes cause them to expand and contract. It's barely perceptible to the naked eye, but the motion detectors are sensitive enough to register even these tiny movements. Camera 3 watches the cooler section, its lens occasionally fogging when someone opens and closes the refrigerated cases. The camera has been positioned to catch shoplifters who might try to steal beer or energy drinks, but mostly it just records the endless cycle of customers making ordinary purchases, milk, soda, energy drinks, to fuel their night shift jobs. But it's camera 4 that always holds your attention. It covers the parking lot and the street beyond, and it's here that you see the shadows that move, too quickly to be human, too purposefully to be random. Tonight, as you're checking the monitors during your routine sweep, you catch a glimpse of something dark moving across the screen, there and gone in less than a second, but unmistakably cape-shaped. You rewind the digital footage, watching the timestamp roll backward until you find the moment. There it is, a shadow that detaches itself from the building across the street, flows across the parking lot like liquid darkness, and disappears beyond the camera's range. Could be Batman, could be a large bird, could be a trick of the light and your imagination. The digital recording system allows you to replay footage, to examine suspicious moments frame by frame. But the more closely you look at ambiguous shadows, the more ambiguous they become. The human eye and brain are designed to find patterns, to see faces in clouds and movement in static images. Sometimes a shadow is just a shadow, and sometimes it's something more. In Gotham, you learn not to look too closely at the shadows. You learn to accept that some things are better left unexamined, that some mysteries are more comfortable when they remain mysterious. The security cameras are there to catch shoplifters and document accidents, not to solve the riddles of the night. Camera 5 shows the back alley, where the dumpster sits surrounded by urban detritus, cardboard boxes, empty bottles, the occasional homeless person seeking shelter from the wind. The alley is technically private property, but you don't chase away people who are just trying to find a safe place to sleep. Everyone deserves shelter, even if it's just a temporary protection of a building's shadow. Camera 6 covers the stockroom, where boxes wait patiently to be unpacked and shelved. This camera is purely for internal security, to make sure employees aren't stealing inventory or engaging in other prohibited activities. But mostly, it just records the endless routine of commerce. Boxes arriving, being opened, their contents distributed to shelves where customers can find them. All the cameras feed into a digital recording system that stores footage for 30 days before automatically deleting it to make room for new recordings. Most of the footage is never watched, creating a vast archive of ordinary moments that exist only briefly before disappearing into digital oblivion. Occasionally, the police request footage for investigations, but usually the cameras just record the mundane reality of late-night retail. You make your log entry, 2:15 a.m, all cameras functioning normally. Possible wildlife in parking lot. In Gotham, you learn to be creative with your incident reports. Wildlife covers a multitude of possibilities, from actual raccoons to whatever it is that moves through the shadows with such purpose and grace. The monitors flicker slightly as the air conditioning kicks in, their images wavering for a moment before stabilizing. You adjust the brightness on camera 4, trying to get a clearer view of the parking lot, but the shadows remain shadows, giving up none of their secrets. The security system is both a window and a barrier, allowing you to see beyond the store while keeping you safely inside. It creates the illusion of omniscience while reminding you of the fundamental limitations of human perception. What you see depends not just on what's there, but on what you're prepared to recognize. At 2:47 a.m, the automatic doors slide open with their familiar whisper, and a customer enters wearing a ski mask. In most cities, this would be cause for alarm. In Gotham, it's barely worth looking up from your magazine. The customer moves with the unhurried pace of someone who knows exactly what they want. They're wearing ordinary clothes, jeans, a dark hoodie, sneakers that squeak slightly on the linoleum floor. The mask is black wool, the kind you can buy at any sporting goods store, with holes cut for eyes and mouth. Nothing theatrical, nothing designed to inspire fear or make a statement. Just practical concealment. In Gotham, masks are a part of everyday life. Bank robbers wear them, of course, but so do people with allergies, night shift workers trying to avoid recognition by day shift acquaintances, celebrities attempting to shop anonymously, and ordinary citizens who have learned that sometimes anonymity is safer than visibility. The city has developed a complex etiquette around masks, an understanding of when they're appropriate and when they're cause for concern. They head straight for the dairy cooler, retrieve a gallon of milk, then move to the hardware section where you keep the basic supplies. Duct tape, batteries, zip ties, the kind of things that people need at odd hours for perfectly legitimate reasons. The duct tape they select is industrial grade, the kind that contractors use, not the flimsy stuff marketed to consumers. You've learned not to judge customers by their appearance or their purchases. The man in the expensive suit buying rope and plastic sheeting might be a serial killer, or he might be helping his daughter move into her first apartment. The woman purchasing bleach and trash bags at 3 a.m. might be cleaning up after a murder, or she might be dealing with a sick pet who's had an accident. Working the night shift teaches you that ordinary people do extraordinary things for ordinary reasons. Emergency repairs don't wait for business hours. Insomnia creates strange shopping patterns. Life happens at inconvenient times, and convenience stores exist to accommodate the inconvenient moments of human existence. The masked customer approaches the counter with their items, milk and duct tape, nothing else, no snacks, no cigarettes, no lottery tickets, just the two items, placed carefully on the counter with the deliberate movements of someone who's trying not to attract attention. Paper or plastic, you ask, because it's what you always ask, because maintaining normalcy is part of the job description in Gotham. Paper, they say, their voice muffled by the mask but clearly audible. Male, probably middle-aged, with the kind of accent that suggests he's lived in Gotham his entire life. He pays with exact change, counting out bills and coins with the patience of someone who's not in any hurry. The transaction is completely ordinary, except for the mask, and even that isn't particularly unusual by Gotham standards. You've sold energy drinks to people in elaborate cosplay costumes, cigarettes to customers wearing medical masks, lottery tickets to people who clearly don't want to be recognised. Privacy is a luxury in the modern world, and sometimes a ski mask is the most affordable form of privacy available. You bag the items, hand him his receipt, and watch as he leaves the store with the same unhurried pace he entered with. The automatic doors close behind him, and he disappears into the night. Just another customer in a city where wearing a mask to buy milk and duct tape is perfectly normal. You don't call the police. You don't make a note in the incident log. You don't even think about it for more than a few minutes. In Gotham, you learn to mind your own business, to focus on your own small corner of the world, and let everyone else worry about theirs. The register drawer slides shut with a metallic click, and you return to your magazine, content in the knowledge that you've done your job exactly as it should be done, professionally, efficiently, and without judgment. Sometimes the most radical act is treating extraordinary circumstances as completely ordinary. Between customers, between tasks, between the mechanical rhythms of commerce, there are pockets of pure waiting. Not the anxious waiting of someone expecting bad news, or the eager waiting of someone anticipating pleasure, but the patient, professional waiting of someone who understands that readiness is a form of service. You lean against the counter, magazine open, but not really reading, attention distributed across the store like a security guard's awareness. Part of you listens for the chime of the automatic doors, part watches the security monitors, part notices the subtle changes in the store's atmosphere that might signal the need for action. This is the waiting that doctors know in emergency rooms, that firefighters know in their stations, that anyone knows who works a job where alertness must be maintained even when nothing is happening. It's a particular kind of consciousness, simultaneously relaxed and ready, like a cat appearing to nap while remaining perfectly aware of its surroundings. The magazine in your hands is 3 months old, its pages familiar from previous nights when you've read the same articles multiple times. It's a general interest magazine, the kind that covers everything from politics to celebrity gossip to home improvement tips. Tonight you find yourself reading an article about sustainable gardening, though you live in an apartment with no outdoor space and have never successfully kept even a houseplant alive. But reading during the night shift isn't really about information absorption. It's about maintaining the appearance of productive activity while remaining alert to your actual responsibilities. The magazine provides a socially acceptable way to wait, a cover story for the complex state of relaxed attention that the job requires. The fluorescent lights hum their steady song, occasionally flickering just enough to remind you that they're artificial suns, burning out their lives to provide illumination for human commerce. How many convenience store clerks have stood under these same lights, reading magazines and waiting for customers, going through the same rituals of maintenance and care? You think about the night shift workers who came before you, the ones who counted these same products and mopped these same floors and watched these same security monitors. There's a continuity to this work that stretches back decades, a tradition of keeping the lights on and the doors open while the city sleeps. The store exists in a kind of temporal bubble, always the same temperature, always the same brightness, always stocked with the same products, arranged in the same patterns. While the world outside changes with the seasons and the years, the convenience store maintains its artificial constancy, a refuge from the variability of natural time. A police car drives slowly past the window, its occupants making their rounds, checking on the businesses that stay open through the night. The officer behind the wheel nods slightly as he passes, a small acknowledgement of the shared responsibility for keeping this corner of the city safe and functional. You wave back, part of the informal network of night workers who watch out for each other. The police, the security guards, the hospital staff, the taxi drivers, the convenience store clerks, all of you working while the city sleeps, all of you part of the infrastructure that allows civilization to continue its work around the clock. The waiting continues, patient and professional, until the next customer arrives or the next task presents itself. This is the meditation of the night shift, the zen of retail, the art of being present without being impatient. The newspaper rack by the front door gets restocked every morning at 6 a.m, but you like to organize it during the quiet hours, straightening the papers and making sure the headlines are visible to customers. Tonight's Gotham Gazette features a story about the mayor's new initiative to improve street lighting downtown, accompanied by a smaller headline about a charity fundraiser at the Gotham Museum. The newspapers tell the story of a city in constant motion, constantly changing, constantly creating new narratives for itself. Each edition is like a snapshot of a particular moment in Gotham's ongoing evolution, capturing the concerns and conflicts and celebrations that define urban life, but it's the Gotham Globe that catches your attention. Their front page screams bat sightings increase downtown in the kind of bold typeface usually reserved for declarations of war or natural disasters. The article, from what you can read through the plastic newspaper box, appears to be a compilation of eyewitness accounts from the past week. A taxi driver who claims he saw a caped figure leap from building to building, a security guard who found mysterious scratches on a rooftop, a teenager who swears she saw something with wings swooping past her bedroom window. The Gotham Globe specialises in this kind of journalism, the breathless reporting of urban legends and half-glimpsed mysteries. Their readers eat it up, buying copies not because they necessarily believe every word, but because they enjoy the theatre of it all. In a city where the impossible happens regularly, the Globe provides a kind of secular scripture for those who want to believe in something larger than themselves. Each newspaper has its own personality, its own relationship with the truth, its own understanding of what Gotham citizens need to know. The Gotham Times focuses on business and finance, treating the city like a vast economic engine that requires constant monitoring and analysis. The Gotham Tribune covers politics and social issues, viewing the city through the lens of power and policy and public welfare. You flip through the Globe, noting the usual mix of sensational headlines and speculative articles. Mysterious chemical residue found in East End sits next to local florist claims plants talk to her. The paper makes no distinction between the plausible and the fantastic, treating all of Gotham's mysteries with the same breathless enthusiasm. The crossword puzzle on page 12 is more challenging than usual, with clues that seem to require knowledge of Gotham's more obscure landmarks and historical references. Some of the clues are downright cryptic: where the green grows in winter, 7 letters, and the bird that never sleeps, 6 letters. It's only when you reach the bottom of the puzzle that you see the small print. Puzzle courtesy of Enigma, Gotham Puzzle Society. You set the paper aside, shaking your head. Even the crossword puzzles in Gotham come with their own mysteries and hidden meanings. The other papers offer their own perspectives on city life. The Gotham Financial Journal covers the stock market and real estate development with the dry precision of accountants and actuaries. The Gotham Arts Weekly reviews gallery openings and theatre productions, treating culture as if it were the most important thing happening in the city. You straighten the rack, making sure each paper is properly displayed, then return to your position behind the counter. The newspapers will sell throughout the night to customers who want to stay informed, to know what's happening in their city, even during the quiet hours. In Gotham, information is currency, and even the night shift workers need to know what's going on in the world beyond their fluorescent lit domain. The papers also serve as a kind of time capsule, preserving the concerns and obsessions of particular moments in the city's history. Future historians will study these front pages to understand what Gotham was worried about, what it celebrated, what it chose to ignore or sensationalize. Maintenance is the heartbeat of the night shift, the steady rhythm of care that keeps everything functioning while the world sleeps. It's not glamorous work, cleaning coffee makers, restocking shelves, mopping floors, but it's essential work, the kind of behind-the-scenes effort that makes everything else possible. You start with the coffee station wiping down the counter and organising the supplies. The sugar packets need to be refilled, the stirring sticks replenished, the creamer containers checked for expiration dates. It's detail work that requires attention but not creativity, the kind of task that allows your mind to wander while your hands stay busy. The coffee maker itself is a reliable workhorse, designed for continuous operation in commercial environments. You clean the outside with a damp cloth, removing the inevitable coffee stains and fingerprints that accumulate throughout the day. The machine has been serving customers for 3 years without major problems, a testament to the engineering that goes into equipment designed for constant use. Next comes the hot food roller, where hot dogs and breakfast sausages rotate endlessly under heat lamps. The roller requires careful cleaning, first removing the food items, then wiping down the heated surface with sanitizing solution. The health department takes food safety seriously, and there are specific procedures that must be followed exactly. The process is meditative in its precision. Every surface must be cleaned, every component sanitized, every step documented in the cleaning log that the health inspector will review during their next visit. There's satisfaction in following the procedures correctly, in knowing that the work meets professional standards. The soda fountain presents its own challenges. Each flavour must be checked for proper carbonation levels, each dispenser cleaned and sanitized, each syrup level monitored to prevent running out during peak hours. The fountain produces dozens of drinks each day, from simple sodas to elaborate combinations that customers create by mixing multiple flavours. The ice machine requires daily attention, even though it operates automatically. The bin must be cleaned, the water filter checked, the ice quality evaluated for taste and clarity. Ice is one of those things that customers take for granted until it's not available, so maintaining the ice machine is critical to customer satisfaction. The refrigerated cases need constant monitoring. The temperature gauges must be checked and recorded every 2 hours, ensuring that perishable items stay at safe temperatures. The glass doors need cleaning, customers leave fingerprints, and condensation creates water spots that obscure visibility of the products inside. Even the automatic doors require attention. The sensors need to be wiped clean of dust and debris that can interfere with their operation. The tracks need to be checked for obstructions. The doors themselves need to be cleaned of the handprints and smudges that accumulate from constant use. Each maintenance task connects to larger systems of safety and reliability. The clean coffee maker prevents bacterial growth. The sanitized hot food roller meets health department standards. The properly functioning ice machine ensures customer satisfaction. None of it is exciting work, but all of it is necessary work. The maintenance log records each completed task, creating a paper trail that demonstrates compliance with regulations and company policies. The log is also a form of communication with other shifts, a way of documenting problems that need attention and confirming that routine tasks have been completed. As you work through the maintenance checklist, you think about the invisible infrastructure that supports every convenience store transaction. The electrical systems that power the lights and refrigeration. The plumbing that provides water for coffee and cleaning. The HVAC system that maintains comfortable temperatures. The network connections that process credit card transactions. All of these systems require care and attention to continue functioning properly. The night shift maintenance routine is part of a larger ecology of care that keeps the modern world operating smoothly. It's easy to take these systems for granted until they fail, but someone has to pay attention to the details that keep them working. The mop bucket sits in the utility closet like a faithful servant, waiting for its nightly duty. You fill it with warm water and commercial floor cleaner, the kind that smells like artificial pine mixed with industrial chemicals. The scent is oddly comforting, the smell of cleanliness and order imposed on chaos. The industrial mop is different from household versions. Heavier, more durable, designed for constant use on commercial floors. The mop head is made of synthetic strings that absorb water efficiently while resisting the bacterial growth that can make traditional mops unsanitary. You start at the back of the store and work your way forward, following the pattern you've developed over months of night shifts. The technique is important. You're not just spreading dirty water around, you're actually lifting dirt and debris from the floor surface and trapping it in the mop fibres. The mop head is well worn, but still effective, soaking up spills and dirt with the patient efficiency of a tool that knows its purpose. The linoleum floor reveals its secrets as you work. Scuff marks from sneakers, sticky spots where someone spilled a slushie, the occasional piece of gum that requires careful scraping. Each section of floor tells its own story about the day's foot traffic. The entrance area shows heavy wear from constant passage. The chip aisle has more debris than other sections, bits of packaging that fall when customers grab bags from the shelves. The cooler section tends to be wet from condensation and spilled drinks. The rhythm of mopping is meditative. Dip, ring, mop, repeat. The string mop trails behind you like a pet, leaving clean, damp lines on the floor. You've learned to read the floor like a text, to identify the high traffic areas by the patterns of wear, to predict where spills are most likely to occur based on the placement of products and the flow of customer traffic. Tonight you find a particularly stubborn sticky spot near the slushie machine, probably cherry flavour, based on the faint pink residue. It takes several passes with the mop to lift it completely, each stroke revealing more of the original floor beneath. There's something satisfying about the process, about transforming a dirty surface into a clean one through patient, methodical effort. The cleaning solution does more than just clean. It disinfects, eliminating bacteria and viruses that could pose health risks. In a space where hundreds of people walk each day, sanitation is critical. The mop and bucket are weapons in an ongoing war against contamination, tools for maintaining the health and safety of everyone who enters the store. As you work, you remember the story Marcus told you about the time Penguin's henchmen had tried to rob the store. They'd slipped on a wet floor that had just been mopped, creating a domino effect that left all three of them sprawled on the linoleum while the police arrived. The security footage had gone viral on local news, turned into a GIF that circulated on social media for weeks. Sometimes the most ordinary maintenance tasks become the most effective crime prevention. The mop water gradually turns from clear to murky as you work, collecting the accumulated dirt and debris of the day. You change it twice during the process, ensuring that you're not just spreading dirt around, but actually removing it. The fresh water feels warm against your hands as you wring out the mop, and the clean floor reflects the fluorescent lights like a mirror. The process requires physical effort, lifting the heavy bucket, wringing out the mop, bending and stretching to reach all areas of the floor. But it's also mentally relaxing, a form of moving meditation that clears the mind while accomplishing necessary work. By the time you finish, the store smells like pine cleaner and efficiency. The floor gleams under the lights, free from scuff marks and spills. You empty the mop bucket, rinse it clean, and return it to its designated spot in the utility closet. The floor will be dirty again by tomorrow night, but for now, it's perfect. The clean floor serves multiple purposes beyond hygiene. It presents a professional appearance to customers, suggesting that the store is well managed and cares about quality. It reduces slip hazards, protecting both customers and employees from accidents. It extends the life of the flooring material by removing abrasive particles that can cause wear. Most importantly, the clean floor represents the successful completion of a necessary task, proof that you fulfilled one of your responsibilities as a night shift worker. In a job where much of the work is invisible to customers, the clean floor is tangible evidence of professional competence. The 3:15 a.m. bus pulls up to the stop across the street with a wheeze of air brakes and a sigh of hydraulic doors. It's one of Gotham's late-night routes, serving the shift workers, insomniacs, and night owls who keep the city running while everyone else sleeps. The bus is lit from within by harsh fluorescent lights, creating a moving fishbowl of human activity in the darkness. The late-night bus system is a different creature than its daytime counterpart. Fewer routes, longer intervals between buses, a clientele that consists primarily of people who work while others sleep. The buses themselves are older, more weathered, bearing the scars of countless nights transporting the city's nocturnal workforce. You watch through the store windows as passengers disembark. A nurse in scrubs, probably finishing her shift at Gotham General. A security guard with a thermos of coffee and a tired expression. A couple of college students with backpacks and the wide-eyed look of people who've been studying all night. Each passenger moves with the particular exhaustion of 3 a.m., that hour when the body's natural rhythms are at their lowest ebb. The nurse moves with the efficient precision of someone who's learned to conserve energy for the things that matter. Her sneakers are professional white, designed for standing and walking on hospital floors for 12-hour shifts. She carries a small bag that probably contains a change of clothes and perhaps a book for the bus ride home. The security guard checks his watch as he walks, probably calculating how much time he has before his next shift begins. Night shift workers often work multiple jobs, stringing together part-time positions to create a living wage. The economics of night work are different, often paying premiums for unsocial hours, but also often offering fewer benefits and less job security. The college students whisper to each other with the conspiratorial intensity of people sharing information that feels important in the moment, but probably won't matter by morning. They're probably working on a group project, or cramming for an exam, or just experiencing the particular camaraderie that comes from staying up all night together. The bus doors wheeze shut, and the vehicle pulls away in a cloud of diesel exhaust, leaving the passengers on the sidewalk to scatter to their various destinations. 3 of them cross the street and enter the store, bringing with them the scent of night air and public transportation. The automatic doors chime their welcome, and suddenly the store's quiet atmosphere is filled with the energy of people who are tired but not yet ready to sleep. They move through the aisles with purpose, selecting items that will help them either stay awake longer or finally wind down for rest. The nurse heads straight for the energy drinks, selecting a large can of something with enough caffeine to power a small aircraft. She moves with the economical precision of someone who knows exactly what she needs and doesn't have time to browse. Her purchase is purely functional, fuel for the remainder of her shift or the commute home. The security guard takes his time, wandering the aisles with the slow pace of someone who's not in any hurry. He examines the sandwich selection, picks up a bag of chips, puts it back, selects a different bag. His radio crackles occasionally, with dispatches from his company's central office, but he ignores it with the practiced indifference of someone who's heard it all before. The college students cluster around the coffee station, discussing the relative merits of different caffeine delivery systems. One advocates for energy drinks, another insists that coffee is more effective, a third suggests that they should probably just try to get some sleep. The conversation has the circular quality of people who are too tired to think clearly, but too stimulated to stop talking. Each customer represents a different relationship with the night. Some are fighting it, using artificial stimulants to extend their waking hours beyond the natural limits of human endurance. Others are surrendering to it, purchasing comfort food and preparing for the sleep that their bodies desperately need. You ring up their purchases with the practiced efficiency of someone who's processed thousands of similar transactions. Energy drinks, coffee, snacks, cigarettes, the currency of the night shift economy. Each sale represents someone's attempt to navigate the challenges of working or living outside normal circadian rhythms. The automatic doors continue to open and close as customers come and go, each one bringing their own story, their own reason for being awake at 3 a.m. in Gotham. The city never truly sleeps, but it does slow down, becoming more intimate, more personal. The people you see during the night shift are different from the daytime crowd, more tired, more honest, more willing to make eye contact and engage in brief conversations. The bus stop across the street is empty now, waiting for the next scheduled arrival at 4:30 a.m. The cycle continues, as predictable as the tides, as reliable as the sunrise. Somewhere in the city, another bus is picking up another group of night workers, continuing the invisible circulation of people who keep the city functioning while most of its residents sleep. Every transaction is a small equation, a brief negotiation between desire and economy that plays out at the register dozens of times each night. Customer wants item, item has price, payment is tendered, change is calculated, receipt is printed. The mathematics are simple, but the human dynamics are endlessly complex. The register itself is a marvel of electronic precision, calculating totals and taxes with computational accuracy that would have been impossible just a generation ago. But it's also more than a calculator. It's a database that tracks inventory, records sales patterns, monitors employee performance, and generates reports that help corporate headquarters understand what's happening in stores across the country. Tonight's transactions tell their own story about late-night consumer behaviour. Energy drinks spike between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. as night shift workers fuel themselves for the hardest part of their shifts. Convenience foods sell steadily throughout the night to people who are too tired to cook or too busy to plan meals. Tobacco products peak around 1 a.m. and again around 5 a.m, corresponding to break times for workers in nearby businesses. You count the 20s first during your cash reconciliation. Their crisp edges aligned perfectly as you stack them. 20, 40, 60, 80. The arithmetic is simple, but you count carefully, knowing that even small discrepancies can cause problems during the morning audit. The bills have that particular texture of money that's been handled by hundreds of people, soft and slightly worn, carrying the invisible history of every transaction. Each denomination tells its own story about how people prefer to pay for convenience store purchases. 20s are common because they're the standard ATM dispensing amount. 10s are less frequent, but usually represent deliberate cash management by customers who want to avoid having too much money in their wallets. 5s often come from tip money or change from other purchases. The 1s are the most numerous, accumulated throughout the night, from customers who pay for small items with exact change. These bills are often wrinkled and soft, the kind of money that ends up in tip jars and emergency funds. Some are so worn that their printing is barely visible, ancient currency that's survived decades of circulation. The coins require more patience. Quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, each one counted individually, rolled into paper sleeves when the quantities become unwieldy. The coins smell faintly metallic, carrying the accumulated oils and dirt of countless hands. Some of the pennies are so old they're made of actual copper, worth more as metal than as currency. But tonight, like most nights, the count is slightly off. You're short by $3.17. Not enough to be alarming, but enough to require explanation. You count again, double-checking your arithmetic, but the discrepancy remains. Most likely, it's from the incident last week, when a customer tried to pay with what appeared to be genuine currency, but turned out to be play. Money, Joker bucks, complete with his grinning face where the president's should be. In Gotham, counterfeit currency is a persistent problem, but it's not always created by professional criminals. Sometimes it's novelty money, sometimes it's prop money from movie productions, sometimes it's foreign currency that looks similar to American bills in dim lighting. You've learned to check every bill larger than a 5, running your fingers over the paper to feel for the distinctive texture of genuine currency. The credit card transactions are processed electronically, but they still require human judgment. You have to verify that the signature on the card matches the signature on the receipt. Check that the person using the card matches the name embossed on its surface. Decline transactions that exceed preset limits for suspicious activity. Electronic payments have made commerce faster and more convenient, but they've also created new forms of fraud that require constant vigilance. Card skimmers, stolen numbers, identity theft. The threats evolve as fast as the technology, requiring ongoing education and awareness from frontline retail workers. You make a note in the cash log. Short 3R17, likely counterfeit currency incident 628. The morning manager will understand. Everyone in Gotham retail has dealt with novelty currency at some point, whether it's Joker bucks, Riddler coins, or the occasional Monopoly money that someone tries to pass off as real. The register drawer slides shut, and you update the digital logs, recording the night's transactions in the store's database. The numbers tell their own story. Peak sales between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., mostly energy drinks and snacks, with a secondary peak around 5 a.m. when the early shift workers start their day. The mathematics of commerce extend beyond simple addition and subtraction. There are inventory calculations that determine when to reorder products, profit margin calculations that determine pricing strategies, labour cost calculations that determine staffing levels. Every aspect of the business can be reduced to numbers, quantified and analysed and optimised. But behind every number is a human decision, a moment when someone chose to purchase something they wanted or needed. The mathematics capture the patterns but miss the stories. The night shift worker buying her third energy drink because she's working a double shift to pay for her daughter's school clothes. The college student purchasing ramen because it's all he can afford until his next paycheck. The insomniac buying magazines because he's given up on sleep for the night. The register drawer slides open with a metallic click, revealing the organised chaos of a night's worth of transactions. Bills are sorted by denomination, coins nestled in their designated slots, everything accounted for in the digital ledger that tracks every sale, every refund, every void. The cash counting process is both meditation and mathematics, requiring attention to detail while providing a rhythmic, repetitive task that calms the mind. Each bill must be examined, counted, and recorded. Each coin must be verified and tallied. The physical act of handling money connects you to the fundamental reality of commerce, people exchanging value for goods and services. The bills reveal their individual histories through their condition. New bills are crisp and uniform, probably fresh from the bank's cash delivery this morning. Older bills are soft and worn, their edges rounded by countless transactions, their surfaces bearing the accumulated oils and dirt of human contact. Some are so worn that the printing is barely visible, ancient currency that somehow survived decades of circulation. You organise the bills by denomination, creating neat stacks that make counting easier and more accurate. The 20s form the largest stack. These are the bills that ATMs dispense, the default large denomination for most cash transactions. They smell faintly of the bank vaults where they were stored, a metallic scent mixed with the particular odour of paper money. The 10s are less common, but usually in better condition, suggesting that people tend to save them rather than spend them immediately. There's something psychological about $10 bills that makes them feel more valuable than 2 5s, even though the math is identical. The 5s are often wrinkled and soft, the kind of bills that end up in tip jars and emergency funds. They have a different texture than larger denominations, worn smooth by frequent handling. Some bear traces of their previous lives, coffee stains, pen marks, the accumulated evidence of their journey through the economy. The ones are the most numerous and the most varied in condition. Some are crisp and new, others are so worn they feel like fabric. These are the bills that get the most use in daily commerce, the pocket change that accumulates and gets spent on small purchases. They smell different too. more human, more lived in, carrying the scents of wallets and purses and cash registers. The coins require a different kind of attention. Quarters dominate the count, heavy and substantial in your palm. They're useful for laundromats and parking meters, so customers tend to accumulate and spend them regularly. The newer quarters have sharp edges and clear designs, while older ones are worn smooth by circulation. Dimes are small but numerous, often overlooked in the counting process because of their size. They have a distinctive feel, lighter than quarters but more substantial than pennies. The Roosevelt profile has remained unchanged for decades, creating a visual consistency that spans generations. Nickels are the odd denomination. Too large for their value, too valuable to ignore. They accumulate slowly in the register, building up over several days before reaching significant quantities. Some are so old they're made of different alloys, wartime substitutes that feel different in your hand. Pennies are the most numerous coins, accumulating faster than they can be spent. Some customers refuse them as change, while others insist on receiving every cent owed. They're made of zinc now instead of copper, lighter than the older ones, creating a subtle difference in feel that you've learned to recognize. The counting process reveals discrepancies that require explanation. Tonight you're short 3.17, probably from the counterfeit currency incident earlier this week. In Gotham, novelty money is a persistent problem. Joker bucks, Riddler coins, two-faced dollars, with genuine currency on one side and play money on the other. You make notes as you count, documenting anything unusual. The ink from a damaged bill has stained several others green. A quarter appears to be foreign currency, probably Canadian. 3 pennies are so worn their dates are unreadable. Each anomaly requires explanation in the cash reconciliation report. The final tally matches the register's electronic record within acceptable limits. The small discrepancy is noted and explained, ready for the morning manager's review. The cash drawer is organised and balanced, prepared for the next shift's transactions. The counting process takes 23 minutes when done properly, a meditative routine that helps transition from the active customer service portion of the shift to the quiet maintenance hours that follow. There's satisfaction in the precision required, in the way chaos resolves into order through careful attention and systematic process. The rain starts as a whisper against the glass, individual drops that catch the fluorescent light and create tiny prisms before sliding down the windows. It's a summer rain, warm and sudden, the kind that Gotham gets when the humidity builds all day and finally breaks in the early morning hours. The sound builds gradually, from individual droplets to a steady patter to a rhythmic drum beat against the store's large windows. Rain transforms the familiar street scene into something impressionistic and dreamlike, the neon signs across the street becoming abstract patterns of colour that shift and flow with each rivulet of water. You can hear it building in intensity through the store's insulation and climate control. The sound is oddly soothing, a natural rhythm that contrasts with the mechanical hums and buzzes of the store's equipment. Rain has a way of making interior spaces feel more intimate, more secure, like being inside a ship while the storm passes overhead. The automatic doors sense the increased humidity and adjust their sensitivity, opening less frequently for phantom triggers while remaining responsive to actual customers. Rain affects all the store's systems in subtle ways. The air conditioning works harder to remove moisture. The floors become slippery near the entrance. The windows fog with condensation that obscures the view outside. The neon signs across the street reflect in the rain-covered windows, creating abstract patterns of red and blue and green that shift and flow with each rivulet of water. The colours bleed together like watercolours, turning the familiar street scene into something impressionistic and dreamlike. A 24-hour diner's sign flickers in the distance, its pink cursive letters spelling out Mel's in a script that hasn't changed since the 1950s. Customers who arrive during the rain shake the water from their umbrellas before entering. creating small puddles near the door that will need to be mopped up later. They move with the hurried energy of people trying to stay dry, their footsteps quick and purposeful. The rain brings out different scents: the clean smell of wet pavement, the earthy aroma of rainwater mixing with urban dust, the faint ozone smell that comes with electrical storms. The rain creates temporary rivers in the gutters, carrying away the accumulated debris of urban life. Cigarette butts, candy wrappers, leaves from the few trees that survive in the concrete landscape. All of it flows towards storm drains that channel the water into the city's hidden underground infrastructure. A taxi drives past, its windshield wipers beating steadily, headlights cutting through the rain-darkened street. The driver hunches forward slightly, peering through the windshield with the concentration of someone navigating unfamiliar territory. The taxi's tyres hiss on the wet pavement, adding to the symphony of rain sounds. Inside the store, the rain creates a kind of acoustic privacy, masking the usual city sounds and creating a bubble of quiet around your workspace. Even the fluorescent lights seem to hum more softly, their electrical song harmonizing with the natural percussion of water on glass. The rain changes the quality of light inside the store, filtering the streetlight through moving water to create patterns that shift and dance on the walls. It's hypnotic to watch, this interplay of artificial and natural light, creating momentary artworks that exist only for seconds before dissolving into new configurations. You watch a woman run past the window, her high heels clicking rapidly on the wet sidewalk as she hurries toward the subway entrance. She's holding a newspaper over her head in a futile attempt to stay dry, but the rain has already soaked through her blouse. She disappears into the subway station, leaving only the memory of her hurried passage and the sound of her heels echoing off the wet concrete. The rain continues to fall, steady and hypnotic, turning the familiar street into something foreign and beautiful. It's moments like these that remind you why you chose the night shift, not just for the quiet hours and the regular schedule, but for these unexpected moments of beauty that emerge from the most ordinary circumstances. The storm will pass, as summer storms do, leaving the air cleaner and the temperature cooler. The streets will steam as the rain evaporates, creating momentary clouds at ground level. The city will smell different for a few hours, washed and renewed, before gradually returning to its normal scent profile of exhaust and humanity and urban life. But for now, the rain creates its own reality, its own rhythm, its own particular form of peace. The store feels like a sanctuary, a dry haven in a wet world, and you feel privileged to witness this small piece of urban weather theatre playing out just beyond the windows. The coffee maker sits on the counter like a faithful appliance, gurgling and hissing as it transforms water and ground beans into the substance that keeps night shift workers functional. It's an industrial model, designed for continuous operation, with multiple warming plates and the kind of robust construction that can handle the demands of a 24-hour convenience store. Coffee during the night shift isn't just a beverage, it's a lifeline, a ritual, a way of marking time and maintaining alertness through the long hours when the body naturally wants to sleep. The relationship between night workers and coffee goes deeper than simple caffeine dependence. It's about creating warmth and comfort in the fluorescent lit world of late-night commerce. You start the process by emptying the used filters, their contents dark and fragrant even after brewing. The spent coffee grounds smell rich and earthy, carrying hints of the Central American mountainsides where the beans were grown. The filters go into the trash, but the smell lingers, mixing with the store's usual collection of scents: industrial cleaner, artificial air freshener, the faint sweetness of candy displays. The coffee beans themselves come from a 20-pound bag stored in the stockroom, pre-ground to the exact specification required by the machine. You measure out the proper amount using the metal scoop that's been designated for this purpose. The ground's dark and oily, releasing their aroma as they pour into the fresh filter. The smell is complex, bitter and sweet simultaneously, earthy and bright, promising alertness and comfort in equal measure. Water goes into the reservoir, clean, cold water that will be heated to the optimal temperature for extraction. The machine knows its business, having brewed thousands of pots over the years of its service. The heating element glows red briefly before settling into its steady work, and soon the familiar sounds of brewing fill the air. The initial hiss of water hitting the heating element, the gentle gurgle as it flows through the grounds. The brewing process follows precise scientific principles: water temperature, extraction time, grind size, coffee to water ratio. Get any variable wrong, and the result is either bitter and harsh or weak and flavourless. The convenience store coffee maker isn't sophisticated enough for perfect brewing, but it's reliable enough for consistent results that meet customer expectations. Regular customers have strong opinions about the coffee. Mrs. Chen, who stops by every morning at 5:30 a.m. on her way to work, insists that the coffee is the nectar of survival and has been known to buy an extra cup to take home for her husband. The construction workers who arrive at 6 a.m. drink it black and fast, fueling up for long days of physical labour. The hospital staff grab large cups with extra cream and sugar, needing sustained energy for 12-hour shifts. Each customer has their own relationship with the coffee, their own ritual around preparation and consumption. Some add multiple sugars and creamers, creating beverages that are more dessert than coffee. Others drink it black, claiming that anything added masks the true flavour of the beans. Still others use it primarily as a caffeine delivery system, caring more about the drug than the drink. The brewing process takes exactly 12 minutes from start to finish. You've timed it, because timing is important in the rhythm of the night shift. Too early, and the coffee isn't ready when customers expect it. Too late, and you risk running out during the morning rush when demand peaks as the day shift begins their commute to work. You keep the coffee pot secured with a special lid that has a small lock, a precaution that seems excessive until you remember the incident 6 months ago when a batarang came through the front window during a chase scene. The projectile had shattered the original coffee pot, creating a mess that took hours to clean up and left the store without coffee for 2 days. The insurance company had initially questioned the claim until the police provided video evidence of the unusual circumstances. The replacement coffee maker came with enhanced security features, including the locking lid and a reinforced glass carafe designed to withstand impacts that would destroy ordinary glassware. It's heavier than the original, more expensive, but necessary for operation in Gotham, where even coffee makers need to be built like bunkers. The fresh coffee smells like morning, like possibility, like the promise of alertness in a world that never stops moving. You pour yourself a cup, adding cream and sugar in the precise proportions you've perfected over months of experimentation. The first sip is always the best, hot, bitter, comforting, and exactly what you need to face the remaining hours of your shift. The coffee station becomes a social hub during the busier periods, a place where customers linger while preparing their drinks, sometimes engaging in brief conversations about the weather or current events or the eternal question of whether the coffee is stronger today than yesterday. These interactions are part of the human infrastructure of convenience store operation, small moments of connection that make the commercial transaction feel more personal. You clean the coffee station obsessively, wiping down surfaces and organising supplies with the attention to detail that health inspectors appreciate and customers notice subconsciously. A clean coffee station suggests competence and care, implying that the coffee itself is prepared with similar attention to quality and safety. The economics of convenience store coffee are fascinating. Relatively high profit margins on a product that customers view as essential rather than optional. The coffee doesn't just generate revenue directly, it also brings customers into the store where they're likely to purchase other items with even higher margins. Coffee is the loss leader that makes everything else profitable. But beyond economics and efficiency, there's something almost sacred about the coffee ritual during the night shift. It's a way of creating warmth and comfort in an environment designed for utility rather than coziness. It's a connection to the larger world of coffee culture, to the millions of people around the globe who start their days with this same ritual of preparation and consumption. The sirens start as a distant wail, somewhere in the maze of streets that stretches out beyond the store's immediate neighbourhood. At first, it's just one, police by the sound of it, with that particular electronic warble that Gotham's squad cars use. But within minutes, it's joined by others, creating a symphony of emergency response that echoes off the buildings and fades into the distance. In Gotham, sirens are part of the urban soundtrack, as common as traffic noise or construction sounds, but they carry different meanings depending on their pattern, their intensity, their direction. Emergency responders use different tones for different situations. Police sirens for law enforcement, ambulance sirens for medical emergencies, fire truck horns for blazes that threaten life and property. You pause in your inventory work to listen, trying to determine the direction and intensity of the sirens. It's a skill you've developed during the night shift, the ability to read the city's emergency soundtrack, to distinguish between a routine traffic stop and something more serious. These sirens have the urgent quality of a major incident, the kind that brings multiple units racing toward the same location. The sound bounces off the buildings, creating echoes that make it difficult to pinpoint the exact location. Could be downtown, where the tall buildings create acoustic canyons that amplify and distort sound. Could be the warehouse district, where the open spaces allow sirens to carry for miles. Could be anywhere in the sprawling metropolis that is Gotham City. Gotham's emergency services operate around the clock, but the night shift brings its own particular challenges. Fewer officers on duty, longer response times, more unpredictable situations. The darkness that provides cover for criminals also makes police work more dangerous, more uncertain, more dependent on technology and coordination. A customer browsing the magazine rack looks up briefly, then returns to his reading with the practiced indifference of someone who's lived in Gotham long enough to know that sirens are just part of the city's background noise. He's probably right. Most of the time, the sirens herald nothing more dramatic than a car accident or a domestic disturbance, the routine emergencies that keep the city's first responders busy. But sometimes the sirens mean something more. Sometimes they're racing toward another encounter between the forces of order and chaos, another chapter in the ongoing story that plays out in Gotham streets. The citizens have learned to read the signs, the difference between regular police sirens and the special frequencies used during unusual incidents, the way the sirens sound when they're converging on a single location versus when they're spreading out across the city. The emergency dispatch system coordinates the response, deploying resources based on the nature and severity of each call. Routine calls get single units, while major incidents trigger comprehensive responses involving multiple agencies. The dispatcher's voice is calm and professional, even when coordinating responses to situations that would terrify ordinary citizens. You continue scanning candy bars while listening to the sirens fade into the distance. Whatever was happening, it's moving away from your quiet corner of the city. The customer at the magazine rack selects a crossword puzzle book and approaches the counter, his movements unhurried and relaxed. He pays for his purchase with exact change, nods politely, and leaves without mentioning the sirens. The store settles back into its familiar quiet. The only sounds the hum of fluorescent lights and the gentle whoosh of the air conditioning. The sirens have become part of the background now, another thread in the complex tapestry of urban sound that forms the soundtrack to your shift. Emergency vehicles represent the city's immune system, rushing to address problems before they can spread and infect larger areas. Police cars, ambulances, fire trucks, Each serves a different function in maintaining the health and safety of the urban organism. The sirens are their voices, announcing their presence and demanding right of way as they race to preserve order and save lives. You make a mental note of the time, 4:23 a.m., and continue with your work. In Gotham, you learn to compartmentalize, to focus on your own small sphere of responsibility, while the larger drama of the city plays out beyond your windows. The sirens will fade, the emergency will be resolved or not, and life will continue its steady rhythm. The night shift teaches you to accept uncertainty, to function effectively without knowing all the details of what's happening in the larger world. Your job is to keep the store running, to serve customers who need convenience items, to maintain the small pocket of normalcy that a 24-hour business represents in the urban landscape. But sometimes, in the quiet moments between customers, you wonder about the stories behind the sirens. Who called for help? What kind of emergency triggered such a response? Were lives saved or lost in the minutes it took for help to arrive? The questions remain unanswered, part of the larger mystery of city life that unfolds beyond the reach of convenience store security cameras. At 4:47 a.m, something moves past the front window that makes you look up from the inventory sheet you've been working on. It's there and gone in less than a second, a dark shape that flows rather than walks, moving with the fluid grace of something not quite bound by ordinary physics. The movement doesn't register as threatening exactly, more like a shadow detaching itself from other shadows, a darker darkness that passes through the pools of streetlight without seeming to interact with them. In any other city, you might dismiss it as a trick of the light, an optical illusion created by fatigue and fluorescent glare. You set down your pen and watch the window, but whatever it was has already passed beyond the range of your vision. Could have been a large bird, though birds don't usually fly that low to the ground at this hour. Could have been a trick of the light, a shadow cast by a passing car, though there haven't been any cars on the street for the past 10 minutes. Or it could have been Batman. The thought doesn't fill you with excitement or fear, just a kind of mild professional interest. Working the night shift in Gotham, you become accustomed to the unusual, the unexplained, the things that happen in the corners of your vision. Batman sightings are like rare bird sightings, noteworthy when they happen, but not surprising enough to disrupt your routine. The security cameras might have captured something, but reviewing the footage would require abandoning your current tasks, and the store's digital system overwrites old recordings every 30 days anyway. If it was Batman, the image would probably be too unclear to prove anything. If it wasn't, then investigating would be a waste of time that could be better spent on actual work. You return to your inventory, making notes about which items need to be reordered and which promotional displays need to be updated. The work requires concentration, the kind of detail-oriented focus that helps pass the quiet hours. But part of your attention remains on the windows, alert for any other unusual movement. A cat appears on the sidewalk, moving with the cautious confidence of an urban predator. It pauses under the streetlight, looking directly at the store windows, as if it can see you watching. For a moment, you wonder if this is what you saw earlier, just a cat magnified by shadow and expectation into something more mysterious. But cats don't wear capes. The animal continues its nocturnal hunt, disappearing between two parked cars with the liquid grace that all cats possess. Urban cats are different from their suburban cousins, more alert, more adaptable, more willing to interact with human environments. They've learned to navigate traffic and avoid dangers that would overwhelm animals less suited to city life. You make a note in the log. 4:47 a.m, possible wildlife observed outside front entrance. It's become your standard notation for anything that doesn't fit into conventional categories, a diplomatic way of documenting the undocumentable. The morning manager will read it and understand, in Gotham, wildlife can mean many different things. The truth is, most Gotham night shift workers have their own Batman stories. Marcus claims he once saw the Batmobile parked behind the dumpster during his break. though the security cameras showed nothing unusual. Sarah from the morning shift swears she found a batarang embedded in the store's back door, though it disappeared before she could show it to anyone. These stories become part of the job's oral tradition, passed down from one shift worker to another, like urban folklore. Whether they're true or not seems less important than their function as shared mythology, a way of making sense of a city that doesn't always make sense according to conventional logic. The stories serve another purpose too. They create a sense of connection to something larger than retail work, a feeling that your small role in the city's economy might occasionally intersect with the grand narratives that define Gotham's public identity. It's comforting to think that heroes might shop at convenience stores, that even Batman might need energy drinks and magazines. You finish the inventory and file the paperwork in its designated folder. The work continues, steady and methodical, punctuated by the occasional customer and the constant background hum of commerce. Outside, the city maintains its own rhythm, mysterious and familiar in equal measure. The Batman stories also reflect something deeper about working the night shift in Gotham. The understanding that important things happen in the darkness, that the hours between midnight and dawn contain their own forms of significance. You're part of the city's nocturnal infrastructure, one of the people who keep things running while others sleep, and that role connects you to larger stories about vigilance and service. Whether or not you actually saw Batman doesn't really matter. What matters is that you were alert enough to notice unusual movement, professional enough to document it appropriately, and experienced enough to continue working without becoming distracted by speculation. The night shift requires a particular kind of awareness. Alert but not anxious, observant but not obsessive. Every customer interaction involves dozens of micro decisions that happen too quickly for conscious analysis, but accumulate over the course of a shift to create the overall quality of service. How quickly to acknowledge a customer who enters, whether to make eye contact or respect their apparent desire for anonymity, when to offer assistance and when to allow them to browse undisturbed. These decisions become automatic after months of night shift work, but they're based on constant observation and interpretation of human behaviour. The customer who enters purposefully and heads straight for a specific item doesn't need assistance. The customer who enters hesitantly and looks around uncertainly might appreciate guidance. The customer who avoids eye contact probably wants to complete their transaction with minimal social interaction. Reading customers is both art and science, requiring attention to body language, facial expression, vocal tone, and purchasing patterns. Regular customers develop their own profiles. Mrs. Chen always buys the same items at the same time. The college student always counts his money twice before purchasing. The security guard always checks the expiration dates on dairy products. But new customers present ongoing challenges in interpretation. The well-dressed woman buying only energy drinks might be a professional working late, or someone dealing with personal crisis. The teenage boy purchasing snacks might be satisfying ordinary hunger or trying to impress friends with his independence. Each interaction requires judgment calls based on limited information. The point of sale system offers its own micro decisions, whether to ask for ID when alcohol purchases seem borderline, whether to approve credit card transactions that trigger fraud alerts, whether to enforce store policies strictly or exercise discretion based on circumstances. Each decision reflects your understanding of company expectations, legal requirements, and human nature. Customer service during the night shift operates according to different rules than daytime retail. People who shop at 3 a.m. are often dealing with emergencies, working unusual schedules, or managing personal situations that don't conform to normal business hours. They may be more stressed, more tired, more vulnerable than typical customers, requiring extra patience and flexibility. The decision-making extends beyond individual transactions to larger questions about store operation. When to call police about suspicious behaviour, when to refuse service to intoxicated customers, when to close temporarily for cleaning or maintenance. These decisions require balancing multiple considerations: customer safety, employee safety, company policy, legal liability, basic human decency. Some decisions seem minor in the moment, but accumulate over time to create the store's reputation and atmosphere, whether to help customers find items or simply point them in the right direction, whether to engage in small talk during transactions or maintain professional distance, whether to remember regular customers' preferences or treat each interaction as purely transactional. The night shift allows for more individualized customer service because of lower volume and less management oversight. You can spend extra time helping confused customers, offer discounts when appropriate, make exceptions to policies that don't quite fit unusual circumstances. This flexibility is both opportunity and responsibility, the chance to provide exceptional service and the risk of making mistakes that could have consequences. You develop preferences about customer interactions, enjoying conversations with regulars who become familiar faces, appreciating customers who are polite and patient, finding satisfaction in solving problems for people who are genuinely grateful for help. These positive interactions provide emotional fuel for dealing with more difficult customers who are rude, demanding, or unreasonable. The accumulation of small decisions creates the overall character of your work experience. Choosing to be helpful rather than merely efficient, choosing to be patient rather than dismissive, choosing to maintain professionalism even when customers don't reciprocate. These decisions define not just the quality of service you provide, but the kind of person you become through your work. Each shift presents hundreds of opportunities to choose kindness over indifference, competence over negligence, integrity over convenience. The choices seem small individually, but collectively they create patterns that shape both your professional reputation and your personal character. The night shift becomes a laboratory for testing your values against the reality of human behaviour. The sky begins to lighten at 5:34 a.m, though you barely notice it at first. The change is subtle, a gradual shift from black to deep blue that happens so slowly it's almost imperceptible. The streetlights are still on, still casting their pools of artificial illumination, but now they're competing with something larger and more ancient. Dawn in the city is different from dawn in the countryside, more gradual, more filtered, more complex in its interplay of natural and artificial light. The buildings create shadows and reflections that change the quality of light, moment by moment, while the neon signs and streetlights continue their electrical conversation with the rising sun. You've been working for nearly 6 hours, your body settled into the particular rhythm of the night shift. Your feet ache slightly from standing on the linoleum floor, and your eyes are dry from the fluorescent lighting. But there's also a sense of accomplishment, of having successfully navigated another night in Gotham's retail landscape. The transition from night to day brings subtle changes in the store's atmosphere. The automatic doors open more frequently as early commuters begin their daily routines. The phone starts ringing with delivery confirmations and vendor appointments. The coffee consumption increases as people seek caffeine to fuel their morning transitions. The coffee you brewed an hour ago has cooled to the perfect drinking temperature, and you sip it while watching the city wake up through the store windows. The first commuters are beginning to appear, early risers who catch the 6 a.m. bus, joggers taking advantage of the cooler morning air, dog walkers emerging from apartment buildings with their barely awake pets. Each person you see through the windows represents a different relationship with the morning, a different approach to beginning the day. Some move with purpose and energy, clearly morning people who embrace the early hours. Others move slowly and deliberately, night people forced by work schedules or other obligations to function during their least optimal hours. A delivery truck rumbles past, its diesel engine adding a bass note to the morning symphony. The driver waves as he passes, recognizing you as part of the city's infrastructure, one of the people who keeps things running while everyone else sleeps. There's a camaraderie among the night shift workers, an unspoken understanding of what it means to work while the world dreams. The morning shift workers will start arriving soon, office employees grabbing coffee and breakfast sandwiches, construction workers buying energy drinks and cigarettes, students purchasing notebooks and pens for early classes. The demographic shift from night customers to day customers is gradual but noticeable, reflecting the different rhythms and needs of people who work different schedules. You begin the process of transitioning from night mode to day mode, checking the coffee levels, restocking the breakfast items, ensuring that everything is ready for Sandra, the morning clerk who'll take over at 7 a.m. Sandra is efficient and cheerful, the kind of person who makes the transition from night to day seem effortless. The handoff between shifts is a critical moment in the store's operation. All the night's activities must be documented, any problems must be communicated, any unusual situations must be explained. The logbook becomes a bridge between shifts, a way of ensuring continuity of care and service across the change of personnel. The sky continues to lighten, revealing the complex architecture of Gotham's skyline. The Gothic spires and Art Deco towers that define the city's personality emerge from the darkness, like shapes developing in a photograph. Somewhere in that maze of stone and steel, people are waking up, starting their days, beginning the cycle that will carry them through to nightfall. The morning light changes the quality of vision through the store windows, making distant objects clearer while reducing the contrast that makes nearby details stand out. The city looks different in daylight, less mysterious, more practical, more focused on the business of commerce and transportation and daily life. A police car drives slowly past the store, its occupants scanning the street with the methodical attention of professionals who've seen everything. The officer in the passenger seat nods to you through the window, a small acknowledgement of your role in keeping this corner of the city functioning. You straighten the newspaper rack, preparing for the morning customers who'll want to catch up on the night's events. The headlines will tell their own stories, crimes solved and unsolved, political developments, human interest pieces that make the news feel personal and immediate. The dawn shift change represents more than just personnel replacement. It's part of the larger circulation of people and energy that keeps the city functioning continuously. As night workers prepare to go home and sleep, day workers are beginning their routines, creating a seamless transition that maintains essential services around the clock. At 6:45 a.m, Sandra arrives 15 minutes early, bringing with her the energy and optimism that characterizes the day shift. She's carrying a travel mug of coffee and a breakfast sandwich from the deli down the street, ready to take on whatever the day might bring. Her arrival signals the beginning of the end of your shift, the start of the transition process that will transfer responsibility for the store from night operations to day operations. The shift change ritual is precise and well practiced, developed over months of working together to ensure smooth continuity of service. Sandra immediately checks the coffee levels and starts a fresh pot if necessary, knowing that the morning rush will bring heavy demand for caffeine. She scans the store for any obvious problems, spills that need cleaning, displays that need straightening, equipment that might need attention. "Quiet night?" she asks, as she always does. "Quiet enough," you reply, as you always do. This exchange has become ritualized, a way of acknowledging that while every night brings its own challenges, the fundamental routine remains constant. It's also a way of setting expectations. If the night was truly eventful, you would elaborate. If it was routine, the brief exchange conveys all necessary information. You hand over the keys, a symbolic transfer of authority that makes the ownership transition official. The keys are worn smooth from years of use, attached to a keychain that bears the store's logo and a small flashlight that's proven useful during power outages and equipment maintenance. The cash count comes next. You walk Sandra through the night's transactions, explaining any discrepancies and reviewing the notes you've made in the logbook. The register's electronic records provide most of the necessary information, but human interpretation adds context that computers can't capture. Coffee machine was acting up around 3 a.m, you mention, but it's working fine now. Might want to keep an eye on it. Slushy machine was cleaned and restocked. Both flavours are fresh. Had a customer pay with what looked like Joker bucks around 2:30. I caught it and refused the sale. Made a note in the incident log. Each piece of information helps Sandra understand what happened during your shift and what might need attention during hers. The communication process is essential for maintaining service quality and operational continuity across personnel changes. You update her on inventory issues, which items are running low, which displays need restocking, which products have been discontinued or replaced. The morning shift will handle most deliveries, so Sandra needs to know what to expect and what to prioritise when new merchandise arrives. The transition also involves checking equipment and systems, ensuring that all the security cameras are functioning, that the automatic doors are operating correctly, that the refrigeration units are maintaining proper temperatures. These systems operate continuously, but they require regular monitoring to prevent problems before they become emergencies. Sandra takes a few minutes to walk through the store, checking the condition of displays and noting any maintenance issues that need attention. Her fresh eyes often catch problems that you've become accustomed to seeing, making the shift change an opportunity for quality control review. The paperwork handoff includes the cash reconciliation sheets, the inventory notes, the cleaning checklists, and any incident reports from the night. Each form serves a different function in the store's documentation system, creating records that support everything from tax preparation to insurance claims to performance evaluation. You gather your things, jacket, wallet, the paperback novel you never quite found time to read, and prepare to leave. The personal items that made the space yours during the night shift now need to be collected and removed, making room for Sandra to arrange her own workspace according to her preferences. The automatic doors slide open and Gotham's morning air washes over you, carrying the sense of coffee shops opening, cars warming up, a city transitioning from sleep to wakefulness. The temperature is already warming. It's going to be another hot summer day, the kind that makes air conditioning essential and ice cream profitable. The walk to the bus stop takes exactly 4 minutes, a route you've memorised through repetition. Other night shift workers are making similar journeys. Hospital staff, security guards, factory workers, all of them part of the invisible army that keeps the city functioning while everyone else sleeps. The morning commuters are beginning to appear on the streets, their movements more purposeful and energetic than the night shift workers they're replacing. Day shift people tend to walk faster, talk louder, seem more connected to their phones and schedules and the urgency of daytime business. The 7:15 a.m. bus arrives exactly on schedule, its doors opening with a hydraulic sigh. You find a seat near the back, settling in for the 20-minute ride home. The other passengers are mostly day shift workers heading in the opposite direction, their faces bright with morning energy, while yours carries the particular exhaustion of someone whose day is ending while theirs is beginning. The bus itself is a microcosm of the city's economy. People from different neighbourhoods, different income levels, different professions, all sharing the same public transportation because it's efficient, affordable, and environmentally responsible. The conversations you overhear reflect the diversity of experiences that define urban life. 2 construction workers discuss the day's job site, comparing notes about materials and schedules and weather conditions that might affect their work. A nurse checks her phone for messages, probably coordinating with family members about childcare and household responsibilities that must be managed around her hospital shifts. College students huddle over textbooks, cramming for exams or reviewing lecture notes, their academic lives continuing regardless of the early hour. An elderly man reads a newspaper with the deliberate attention of someone who views staying informed as a civic responsibility. You close your eyes and listen to the city waking up around you. Traffic increasing, construction crews starting their work, the complex symphony of urban life beginning another movement. The sounds are different from the night shift soundtrack you've grown accustomed to, more urgent, more layered, more focused on productivity and achievement. The bus stops frequently, picking up more passengers as it moves away from the commercial district and into residential neighbourhoods. Each stop brings people with their own stories, their own reasons for travelling, their own relationships with the city's transportation system. A woman with a baby stroller struggles to navigate the bus steps, and several passengers immediately offer assistance. The moment of cooperation reminds you that despite its reputation for coldness and anonymity, city life often brings out generosity and mutual support among strangers. The route takes you past familiar landmarks, the park where you sometimes walk on days off, the library where you've checked out books for night shift reading, the diner where you occasionally eat breakfast after particularly long shifts. These places anchor your relationship with the neighbourhood, creating a sense of community that extends beyond work. You think about the night you've just completed, the customers served, the tasks accomplished, the small contributions to the larger enterprise of keeping the city functioning. There's satisfaction in knowing that you've done your job well, that the store was properly maintained and operated during your watch. The bus passes through different neighbourhoods, each with its own character and demographics. The commercial district gives way to mixed-use areas with apartments above shops, then to residential streets lined with row houses and small apartment buildings. The diversity of architecture reflects the city's history, its evolution from industrial centre to modern metropolis. Other night shift workers share the bus, identifiable by their particular form of tiredness and their direction of travel. You nod to a security guard you recognise from previous rides, sharing the unspoken camaraderie of people who work, while others sleep. The conversations around you gradually shift from work topics to personal concerns, family obligations, weekend plans, social activities that require coordination among people with different schedules. The rhythms of human relationships must accommodate the demands of economic life, creating complex negotiations between personal desires and professional requirements. As the bus approaches your stop, you prepare for the transition from public space to private space, from the shared experience of transportation to the solitary experience of home. The shift from work mode to rest mode will take time. Your body and mind need to adjust from the alertness required by customer service to the relaxation that allows for sleep. The store continues its cycle, open 24 hours a day, serving the endless stream of customers who need milk at midnight, coffee at dawn, and the assurance that somewhere in Gotham the lights are always on and someone is always awake to help. Sandra handles the morning rush with practiced efficiency, selling breakfast sandwiches to commuters and newspapers to people who want to stay informed about their city's ongoing stories. The day shift has its own rhythm, its own challenges, its own cast of regular customers who depend on the simple reliability of commerce. The morning customers move with different energy than the night shift clientele, more hurried, more focused on efficiency, more connected to schedules and deadlines that structure daytime business. They grab coffee and pastries on their way to offices, purchase newspapers to read during commutes, buy energy drinks to fuel long days of meetings and phone calls. The store transforms subtly during the day shift. Brighter lighting makes colours more vivid, increased customer traffic creates more dynamic energy, delivery trucks bring fresh inventory that keeps shelves fully stocked. The same physical space serves different functions at different times, adapting to the changing needs of the community it serves. By afternoon, the night shift workers are sleeping in darkened apartments, their bodies adjusted to schedules that run counter to the sun. They dream of inventory counts and security monitors, of customers who pay with exact change and sirens that echo through urban canyons. The dreams mix memories of work with fragments of ordinary life, creating surreal narratives that reflect the disorientation of living outside conventional time. The afternoon shift brings its own clientele, students buying snacks after school, office workers grabbing quick lunches, parents purchasing forgotten items for family dinners. Each shift serves different demographics with different needs, but the fundamental function remains constant, providing convenient access to essential goods and services. Evening customers represent yet another population, people preparing for night activities, workers beginning late shifts, residents stocking up for home. Entertainment. The store's inventory reflects these changing patterns, with different products moving faster at different times of day. And when midnight comes again, the night shift workers return to their posts, taking over from the day shift with the smooth efficiency of a well-oiled machine. The registers are counted, the shelves restocked, the coffee brewed fresh. The automatic doors continue to open and close, welcoming anyone who needs what the store has to offer. The handoff ritual repeats, keys transferred, cash counted, incidents reported, equipment checked. The same procedures that ensure continuity of service, the same attention to detail that maintains quality standards, the same professional care that keeps customers satisfied and coming back. In Gotham, the night shift is more than just a job. It's a form of civic service, a way of ensuring that the city never truly sleeps, that there's always someone awake to witness the strange and wonderful things that happen in the shadows. It's ordinary work made extraordinary by the setting, routine tasks elevated by the knowledge that you're part of something larger than yourself. The convenience store represents one node in a vast network of 24-hour businesses that provide essential services around the clock. Hospitals, gas stations, diners, security companies, transportation services. Each business operates independently, but together they create an infrastructure that supports the needs of people who work, live, and move through the city at all hours. The night shift workers form their own community within the larger urban community, people who understand the particular challenges and rewards of working while others sleep, who share the experience of seeing the city in its quieter moments, who appreciate the intimacy and peace that comes with nocturnal responsibility. The fluorescent lights hum their eternal song, the slushy machine gurgles its frozen melodies, and the cash register rings up another sale in the endless symphony of commerce. Tomorrow night and the night after that, and every night after that, someone will be there to keep the lights on and the doors open. The work continues, steady and necessary, part of the larger rhythm that keeps civilization functioning. Night shift workers provide continuity across the boundary between day and night, ensuring that essential services remain available regardless of the hour, that someone is always ready to help when help is needed. Because in Gotham, someone always needs to be awake. With the register counted and morning light filtering through rain-streaked windows, you lean against the counter and close your eyes for just a moment. The transition from night to day is complete. Your shift successfully finished. Your small contribution to the city's operation properly fulfilled. The store will continue its work without you now, serving customers and maintaining its place in the network of businesses that keep Gotham functioning. Sandra will handle the morning rush with the same professional care you brought to the quiet hours, ensuring that the cycle of service continues unbroken. You, too, may rest now. The city of stone and steel will keep its restless watch. The neon signs will write their electric poetry across wet pavements, and dawn will find everything quietly in its place. The great machine of urban life will continue its work, powered by the accumulated efforts of thousands of people like you who choose service over sleep, responsibility over comfort. Your small corner of the city is secure, properly maintained, ready for another day of commerce and community. The shelves are stocked, the floors are clean, the coffee is fresh, and the doors remain open for anyone who needs what a convenience store provides. Not just products, but reliability, accessibility, and the quiet assurance that someone is always ready to help. The rhythms of the night shift will call you back tomorrow, but for now, you've earned your rest. The fluorescent lights will continue their electrical hymn without you. The security cameras will maintain their silent vigil, and the automatic doors will open and close for new customers with new needs and new stories. May your dreams be filled with the gentle sounds that filled your shift, the soft hum of refrigeration, the quiet gurgle of coffee brewing, the distant whisper of rain on windows. May you find peace in knowing that you've contributed to something larger than yourself, that your work matters in ways both seen and unseen. Let the steady rhythm of the night shift carry you gently towards sleep, the predictable cycle of tasks completed and responsibilities fulfilled, the comfort of routine successfully maintained, the satisfaction of service professionally provided. In the great symphony of urban life, you've played your part with quiet competence and gentle care. Rest well, night shift worker. The city will be here when you wake, ready for you to take your place once again in the endless rotation of people who keep the lights burning and the doors open through all the hours of darkness and dawn. Because in Gotham, in every city, in every place where people gather to build lives together, someone always needs to be awake. And sometimes that someone is you. Sleep now in the knowledge that your work is done, your shift complete, your small but essential contribution to the world's operation properly fulfilled. The night belongs to others now, but it will return, and when it does, you'll be ready to serve once again. Good night.